Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Everybody who watches his show on a regular basis knows my love of the stretch four.
You know, we all make mistakes. He might have made one going to Tallahassee.
If y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, cross over to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give and go. This Shelly, you hoodie girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we fall for. Peep the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets out the buckets, baby. You out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie? It's buckets. Woo! We get buckets. Yeah, baby. Buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Buckets. I'm Matty Ice, he's Vish, and she is Melissa. We got the full squad tonight. How you guys feeling?
A lot better now. A lot better now.
Yesterday, I tweeted that I was sad. Today, I tweeted that I was happy. And I am rocking a brand new Adidas hoodie from Black Friday. Shout out to Adidas for having some extra smalls in stock on Black Friday. Let's go.
Are we going over Black Friday purchases before we get into this, or what?
How about
anything good?
I should have gotten my new kicks.
That feels like an off-season topic at this point.
Yeah,
we got actual.
What, to show one pair of shoes?
Oh no, one pair of shoes. But I've seen your haul, and if we're gonna do that, that's a good 45 minutes to an hour. So.
Oh no, it's not that much. But the shoes.
I wasn't saying go through the whole haul.
Okay.
One thing.
All right, wait, hold on. All right, wait.
Should I go get the shoes?
Wait. You can definitely get the shoes, but Matt, she just said it wasn't that much.
Compared to previous hauls, it's actually not that much.
If you call it a haul, it's a good amount, right?
We Matt and I have seen the pictures. Yeah, but grab the shoes; those are badass. Let's show them on air.
Didn't she send multiple?
You can talk about ballers on my board as I go get the shoes.
Ballers.
We got Bill in the chat. Canes today.
What's up, Bill? What's up, Canes today?
And yeah, Kentucky was freezing. I have basically not slept in 3 days, so I'm on fumes a little bit here. But yeah, it was cold at like 1 a.m. when I woke up to drive to the airport this morning and go from Louisville to Charlotte to Memphis, and 3-hour drive to Starkville to watch the women win. So that was worth it. But Melissa's cold.
Breaking out her shoes for the upcoming game of horse we're gonna have.
The off-season game of horse. Still got to figure out how to cheat at this Another with the dub. All right, here we go.
Here's the unboxing video. Here we go.
Yes.
ASMR if you're into that. There we go. The Dons.
Wait. Let me. Sorry, I'm kind of like working off a laptop, so it's not as smooth as normal on the production, but it's full screener here.
The cool thing is it's got the these are like the Xbox edition, so it's got like the Xbox logo on one of the tongues, and then it says like Mitchell. I got them for like $50. We can take my face off the massive screen now.
I mean, you couldn't really see them in the small box, so.
That's true, yeah.
There we go.
Right. Should we, talk basketball?
Well, I mean, Matt wanted to talk kicks.
Yeah.
So I wasn't planning on getting basketball shoes, but I was like, they were marked down to $60, and then I got an additional 20% off for a first responders discount. So
yeah, they're basically
you
free.
Take that compared to the Dusty D Wades.
Those are the Converse D Wades, right?
Those are the Converse D Wades. I've had those babies forever. I think I'm gonna keep them just because of like how old they are. They're like a fossil now.
Those are a little too old to be babies. I don't think I would label them babies.
I've had them for a while. But yep, gonna rock the Dons. I gotta break them in. I gotta find a court to go play.
There you go.
Oh, we're going to next time I'm down, right?
Yeah, I thought we were gonna go shoot around.
Weeks. Yeah, a few weeks.
Yeah. Well, the next time I see you is going to be
next weekend.
Next Friday.
Yep.
I will be heading to DC because me and Vish will be going to New York for the Colorado game at Barclays. Haynes, today I used to be a baller. It's been a bit. Matt will probably
Matt
kill
plays
us.
several times a week. He's doing us a favor by making it horse instead of.
Yeah, Matt could probably play us 1-on-2 and win.
I don't know. I'm tall.
Don't try to.
Which should we talk about the win first?
Depends. Do you want to end on a high or? I mean, obviously the win just happened. I don't know.
Well,
it's all one. It's all one long.
Win.
It's all one.
I didn't get to watch the game last night. And I was definitely not going to go back and watch it.
If you saw the Kansas Elite 8 game 2 years ago, you did watch the game last night. It was the same game.
And Vish in our group text at halftime of tonight's game was like, "This is kind of like last night where we went down big, then came back and then blew the lead and was down at half." And I'm like,
"Yeah, but
like, don't put that on them."
Well, I know I wasn't going to put it. I wasn't worried they were going to do it because, there was different scenarios. God bless Katie Meyer now and forever.
Why don't we talk about the women's game first?
Let's do that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Z and Lamaya because they came off the bench in the first half, and as my board says, they were ballers. Lamaya, as a sophomore who didn't even play that much as a freshman at Arizona last year, is not afraid to do anything. Drive the ball, shoot, hit reverse layup, shoot the three. She had a big three late in the fourth quarter, plays great defense.
She has a nice
and then
shot.
I think Z had, how many boards did Z have? Like, I think last I saw she had like 11, but
I think it was,
she ended up
end with
than
11 or?
Vish is going to quickly bring up the box score.
I am.
Oh, she had 15. Damn.
All right, I guess I'm
bringing 7 offensive rebounds.
So, to preface, I think Mississippi State had 2 of their big men out.
Yeah, what happened? What happened there? Because I'm obviously I was at the game and didn't really have.
They're injured. They didn't talk about what it was. They just
because the one thing I noticed. I think that was probably their key players that were out, but I did notice in warm-ups, I was like, "Where's the rest of their team?" Because they were light.
Yeah.
Like
they were very short on players, and I mean, obviously Vish was there, so he didn't hear the broadcasters, but there was a good 3 or 4 minute "We Love Katie Meyer" fest that the broadcasters did at the beginning of that game, which was amazing.
That's just like our show.
Yeah, they only had 2 people off the bench. They only had a 7-person rotation.
Yeah, there was, and I don't think they had anyone else. Like when they were warming up, it didn't look like a full team.
No.
And we have 10 players that could easily start. So I will say, Latasha got a lot more minutes tonight because she wasn't. The first 2 games she was on a minute restriction. This game she wasn't. And she shot that 3, and I screamed no, and then she made it. So I apologize.
So I will say the bench expected it to go in, so maybe she can hit that.
Maybe she can hit it, and we didn't know because I remember me and Vish went to the women's game on this past Sunday, and she shot a 3, and me and Vish just looked at each other like, "What the heck?"
The other thing is, you mentioned Z and Lamaya. We actually finished the game with 4 bench players in Jasmine. So talking about the depth on the team.
Coming back into the second half, Spearman, Hilton, and Day Wilson were on the court. So Coach Meyer isn't afraid to switch it up. And yeah, you saw who she was running with down the stretch. And Spearman isn't at 100%.
Yeah, no,
she's
she's definitely banged up. She's getting treatment at every timeout, and actually they stretched her out at halftime on the court when everyone else was warming up. The trainer was working on her, and that's one of the reasons I think she just started the second half because they loosened up and then you just sit on the bench. You have to do it again. So the other thing though is like you said, it was tied at 50 after the third quarter, and then she went with basically that same lineup except had Kyla in instead of Z to start the fourth quarter. We started making up some ground, but I thought Kyla kind of struggled today. So
yeah,
then
we had there was a stretch where we had
Melissa,
we had Tosh and Spearman out there together.
That's what we finished the game with, but we also played Tosh with Kyla to start the fourth quarter. And then Melissa, you would actually call this out in our group chat that Tosh was sucking wind there. So we put in Z right before the under 5 timeout for her to give her a rest, and then put her back in for Kyla at that point and kind of finish the game that way.
She was looking a little rough when she was shooting those.
She hasn't
played. She played like 5 minutes 2 games ago and then 9 minutes last game. So she's still getting back into game shape. I wish we would make more free throws though. But
I was about to say, don't mention the word free throw or free throws. 5 of 13. That's unbelievable.
I will say Day Wilson made her 2 towards the end of the fourth quarter, which was huge.
Yep.
But our free throw shooting is horrendous, and it's gonna end up costing us a game if we don't fix that. So, but Jasmine Roberts was the player of the game. 3 for 4 from 3-point, 6 of 11 total, 15 points.
I mean, 4 players in double figures. Lamaya 16 off the bench, like you said. I thought Tasha's points were clutch. She stepped up in a couple big moments.
I was really impressed with the dribble drive and ball movement against the zone. There was a couple moments where I think, it was a little bit of a stagnant offense, but got a lot of offensive rebounds. Whenever you play zone, you're going to give that up. You can credit that to, their lack of post players as well, but we took advantage of that.
Yeah, and actually, as Melissa said, we were at the game on Sunday. We did experiment with playing 2 bigs, which came in handy here. The one thing we were ass against the zone on Sunday, so probably just a favor Eastern Tennessee State playing that, because I'm sure we then were able to work on it a little bit.
Yeah, you could tell.
I didn't put it in the chat, but I think a little bit into the first quarter, they started playing zone, and like the announcers said something, and I was like, oh my God, we played like such shit on Sunday against the zone. But on Sunday, that game, I remember I kept saying, I'm like, we're just like, we pass the ball and we hold it for a few seconds, and then we pass the ball and we hold it for a few seconds, or we just stand there and dribble. The ball movement was a lot better tonight.
Yeah, the ball movement was good. We hit threes. I just want to pull up the team stats because I forget what the rebounding margin ended up being, but it was
insane. It was a lot too little.
They did a good job fighting for position in that zone to get rebounds too.
Yeah,
49 to 23.
And obviously Mississippi State was missing some of their bigs, but they averaged winning the rebounding battle by more than 20 rebounds a game. So this is a complete reversal on it. Honestly, if we made free throws, the game would have.
And then you look above that at the free throw percentage.
Well, I mean that is what kept them in the game. Like they shot 80%, we shot 38. It's
our 3-point percentage is better than our free throw percentage. That is terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, because some of these players are good shooters, and they shouldn't be. Like Jasmine shouldn't be missing free throws.
Oh, what's up, Jackson?
Yes,
Jackson was at the Kentucky game.
Yeah, no, I met him yesterday. I mean, not for the first time, but I did meet him yesterday. I met his sister for the first time. He was a Kentucky student, which is what he's referencing.
He's from Kentucky, but is a Miami student.
Yeah, so he's gonna have a long holiday when he goes back home for Christmas.
And also, Kane today is a Miami fan and lives in Kentucky, so he was probably hearing about it too.
That's fine. I will say, I mean, we'll talk about that game in a bit. So let's finish off the
let's talk about this.
Yeah, so I do think that it's interesting, like because obviously, like I was basically sitting on the bench,
Vish was sitting right behind the bench. He had good seats.
Well, good seats to see a bunch of stuff I never usually see.
Yeah.
Couldn't really see the far end of the court very well. Coach
Mhm.
Meyer kept getting in the way. Damn it! No, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's true, but she's coaching. But you can look up at the board and see the out. But it was cool because of the second half. Obviously, we were shooting in front of where our bench was, so I could see our offense really run. You could see it, and now we're executing. But the other thing is, Melissa, you talked about we have 10 starters, and the players that got benched, because we benched Jalea Williams, who's, if not the best player on the team, the second best player on the team. Lachey Dwyer's a starter, benched. Jada Patrick got benched. None of them hung their heads or anything. They stuck. In fact, all right, I shouldn't. I'll just say this. So when we took out Tasha to put in Z in the fourth quarter, Jada Patrick was like, "How are we taking Tasha out of the game?" Like, they weren't even thinking like, "Why aren't I in the game?" So it's there's a good team chemistry there, and it kind of shows, because the next game it might be a different lineup entirely. It's whoever's playing well. That's and kind of the matchups, because we have like all these players are really good. They're also very different. So depending on the matchup, we mix and match. And this was the two bigs worked really well here because they didn't have any bigs. And so we were able to pound them. Also, I'm going to look this up. I'm pretty sure I should know this. Their center, number one, was at Miami. I'm almost 100%.
They kept saying it. They said it.
Oh,
There's
okay,
no-
okay.
Her
Okay,
first
never
year,
mind.
she was at Miami. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, because I was like, God, she looks so familiar, and I was like, I'm pretty sure she was on.
They said it. They said it multiple times. Actually,
Okay,
it was
yeah,
actually
yeah,
really
I didn't
annoying.
hear the broadcast, so it was up here somewhere though. But that team chemistry is really good, and there's just different, all sorts of different weapons that we have, and depending on the matchup, different. I think the players all understand, like, hey, if it's not working for me today, I'm going to ride the bench for a while, and that's okay. Because none of them were hanging their heads, and they were kind of like, yeah, no, those 5 need to finish the game off.
You are at a point where, Hilton plays great defense, but she was shooting well. Spearman. I always say, I don't know why I keep saying that. Z.
We already discussed this. Just call her Z.
Just call her Z. You take Z out just to like give her a breath, but she was a beast. Like, her offensive like, how many putbacks did she have? 15 boards. I think almost half of those were offensive rebounds.
7.
Yeah. So, you have to leave her in. She was a beast today. And then, Day Wilson hit a 3 late as well. I said that at the beginning of the game. I was like, I need her to be doing her thing, because she had shooting crazy the last couple games. It was nice to see a big game from Jasmine. She's kind of like the stable, like, go-to person. And she had some big time threes. Missed her free throws, but we won't discuss that.
Everyone missed their free throws except for Day Wilson finally made those too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, actually, the school just sent out kind of the press notes. So the one thing, we talked about this a little bit, but they started 8-0, and we clawed back into the game and kind of settled in, and then I thought it was pretty clear we were the better team most of the game, and so it was frustrating that there were several times where we got up like 2 scores and could get a stop and maybe another one to push out to 3 scores, or really kind of, and we're
still
turn it
still
over,
battling
or
the turnover bug. Yeah.
or blow a defensive rotation, give up a wide open 3, and it's like, Mississippi State did a good job of kind of hanging around and just staying in there.
They made a lot of their threes. They're good shooters for sure.
Yeah, no, they're a good team. They're ranked. So this was a big win. They still might be. They were ranked 21st, I believe. So they're not going to drop that far from losing to another team that is almost certainly going to be ranked next week. So, yeah, Parrish. We'll talk about the men in a bit. For the women, I don't know how high they're going to be ranked. Now, they did start the year ranked 25th and then fell out of the top 25 without losing. So
they played Baylor before Christmas.
Right.
He's asking before Christmas.
Oh,
right?
before Christmas. Yeah, there's another huge game.
Yeah.
Neutral site, but in San Antonio against Baylor.
Yeah, so it's not really neutral site.
But that'll, if they can win that, top 15 is definitely on the table.
Is Baylor ranked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'll be tougher than this game. So
Oh, this is a big win, a big momentum win. On away. This isn't even a neutral site. They were at Mississippi State, so
yeah.
that's definitely a massive win for the team. Shows we can play with good teams. I mean, we hadn't played like a big time name yet, so
No, we hadn't, and this was kind of the first real test. And obviously, we messed around against Southern and had a nail biter. So we had played one close game, but not really against the top team. So it was good to. Frankly, it was good to get punched in the face like that, fall behind on the road, and then fight it back and kind of just control the game, really. And there were several times where they'd make a run and the crowd would get into it, and we just kept responding. It was really a good mental toughness game also. Just the amount of times we just kept coming back at them.
Bill.
All right, we're going to talk about the men later once we're done with the women.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to jump to the...
Don't be a Debbie Downer quite yet.
Yeah, and so again for
sorry.
the women, it's it is NJIT on there. Parrish just put them in there. Games before Christmas.
NJIT, DePaul, Baylor, Jackson State.
DePaul worked us over last year. Blew us out.
DePaul murdered us last year.
So that's another one to keep your eye on a little bit there. Although they lost their best player, so.
Matt, what stood out to you in the women's game? What player?
Definitely Hilton. Her shot is really nice, like I said earlier. I think too, you referenced Spearman, the offensive rebounds. I thought she did a really good job of finding where to be in the zone, sealing and getting offensive putback, second chance opportunities. It's different watching this team because I don't have as much experience watching the women's team as you guys, but this year, the depth that we have, because, you reference, I didn't notice as much that, our starters weren't even in at the end of the game. So, depth is a huge piece.
Yeah, no, Jasmine was the only starter in really the whole fourth quarter. Kyla played a little
our
bit.
starters were
Kyla
Jalea, Dwyer, Jasmine, Jada, and Kyla.
Yeah, Kyla I think in the fourth some, but
I think the versatility too, because like Vish referenced earlier too, they had 4 out, 1 in, and then they kind of switched to that high-low 2 post players. When you can play in different ways, I think it really, affects how many different ways you can win and whatnot. So, it was really interesting to see. So I'm looking forward to the next one, especially that game against Baylor too.
Yes, Parrish says the missed free throws and turnovers are frustrating. The missed free throws especially.
We have to. I don't have the stat in front of me.
That game isn't as close if we make our free throws. And 5 of 13 is unacceptable.
It wasn't a one-off. We have to be. I don't have the stats in front of me. If we're not the worst,
it's every game.
We've been terrible shooting free throws every game in the country. We got to be one of them. We got to be bottom 5 in that. We are terrible, and it doesn't even make sense because we can shoot.
Yeah.
So
we lost our best free throw shooter from last season. So
look, Jasmine can make free throws. It's just whatever reason. It's just it's not happening, right? The missed free throws are going to if we don't get that sorted cost us a game. It didn't tonight, but if we had lost, it would have been because of that, because we left all those points out there. So
8 points.
and that's a chronic problem.
We are 342nd in free throw percentage
out of
348. 57.5.
Wait,
I don't know.
Did that count tonight? It probably didn't.
So that's what I was. So it's only 5 games, right? So that would be
okay. This was
that doesn't count tonight.
So we just put 38% up there. Yeah, so we're gonna get worse.
We might drop. That's bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. CSU Bakersfield. Southern. Didn't we play Southern U?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're here too.
We're laughing about it. This is a big problem.
Yeah,
No, it is
that's
a big
huge
problem.
issue.
And we were actually
especially in
also,
close games
in a
too.
way, lucky that the margin was just enough where they only started fouling. Like it was like 4 points, 6 points, where you're like, there's a minute and a half left. You're not quite yet gonna foul, so they only started fouling with like 35 seconds left. It actually would have been worse if we were up more and they started fouling with like a minute and a half or 2 minutes left, because let's be real, I don't think we would have made the free throws that we would have needed to, and it would have been empty possessions and quick shots for them to try and get back in the game. But it was just close enough where they were playing out possessions and we were able to run a lot of the clock without getting fouled.
Yeah, we do. I did note that we really hold the ball and pass around till the final seconds on the shot clock. Bill, sports psychologist time.
I mean, look, I get some of this, but like if you're a good shooter, if you're making 50% from three, you can't be making 38% from the free throw line.
Yeah, our 3-point percentage is better. So it was a very crazy night because we got a big football commit right before the women's game. So I was already like hyped. So I'm really glad we won.
Yeah, no, so was I.
and Vish was there. So
I mean, I gotta tell you, and then maybe we'll start.
I was so jealous, man. You sent me a picture of where you were sitting, and I was like, oh man, I'm so jealous. I wish I could do it where I could work from home so that I could have gone to that.
You're a nurse practitioner. You can't possibly do that.
I mean, they do telemedicine. So
I am.
I
actually am on vacation this time. Sometimes I'm like working when I'm traveling. This time I'm actually on vacation, just because. Here's what my day was. So after the Kentucky game, I went to bed around like 11:30 last night. Woke up at 1. Drove from Lexington to Louisville. 5 a.m. flight to Charlotte. Charlotte to Memphis. 3-hour drive to Starkville.
For an hour and a half?
Yeah, and I slept a little bit on the first flight. And then and changed planes in Charlotte to Memphis. Landed in Memphis at 8:30. Now I'm in Central Time, by the way, so it's like an hour later. Drove the 3 hours.
Oh, you're in fake time also.
Yeah, marginally fake time, not full fake like Matt is. And then yeah, drove the 3 hours here. Got in around like 1. And then I was like, I am exhausted. Actually, now I have adrenaline because we kicked their ass, but I was exhausted at the time. So I tried to take a nap, but I wanted to see the campus. So I like walked all over the campus and did all that before the game.
Parrish wants to know 5 of our next 6 games are at home with Baylor on the road. What's the optimistic prediction for that slate?
Let me pull up the schedule on that. But just so everyone's aware, Starkville, literally in the middle of nowhere. Like to the point that all of a sudden I was just here. It's that kind of it's that kind of place. Where
how long of a drive did you have? Wait, you flew into where? Where'd you fly into?
Memphis.
And then how far did you? So you had to fly into a different state. And then how long of a drive was it to Starkville?
It was 3 hours.
Jesus.
Oh no, it's been
right.
a rough.
So
by the way, this started on Monday because Tuesday morning I flew out of Miami at 6 a.m. I've changed plane to Charlotte Airport twice this week. Straight flight tomorrow afternoon. We
play versus NJIT versus DePaul at technically at Baylor, even though it's neutral, right? They're ranked 13, and then Jackson State and Alabama State. So
and then Louisville before New Year.
Well, I mean, he said the next 5 games.
5 out of the next 6, though. So I think he was
okay. Louisville's going to be tough. Obviously, Baylor's going to be tough. I see at least, I'd say 4 wins at least. I say we get one of those 50-50 games.
If you're asking optimistic, well, no, 4 wins is without getting the 50-50 games. I have the 6. He's asking about the 6.
So we beat DePaul easy.
Yeah. So I would say optimistic is 6-0. We can beat
5-1, 6-0.
Well, no, he's asking for what's the optimistic prediction. None of those are like definite losses.
I mean, yeah, we do have a chance to go 6-0. Like our team is good, and we should be ranked.
Yeah, and 4-2 is minimum, and 5-1 is I would say probably the
middle ground,
most realistic target. But 6-0 is possible. If you're saying optimistic, we can play with anyone because I'll tell you why. We have several like legitimate bigs, and I know Kyla didn't necessarily play well or a lot tonight because once Z got in there and started kind of handling it again, Coach Meyer's just going to ride whoever's getting the job done on that given night. But the fact that you can rotate, she's like a legitimate center, which we haven't had in a while because Lolo is undersized. Like, it's the first time we've had
last year everybody was injured.
Everyone got injured too, but it's been a while since we had it. So we can run multiple bigs, but we also can run multiple guards. We can play so many different ways. We're not going to run into a team where we can't match them. We can't match up. And so that we're going to be in, it's not that we're never going to get blown out because stuff happens, but there are no scheduled losses. There are a few games last year where going in, you're we're going to get killed in this game. And we did.
Yeah.
There were some of those. So there's none of that this year. So we can win every game.
Man, that at Virginia Tech game is going to be rough. That's a really good team.
Yeah, that is. That'll be.
But for now, 6-0, undefeated.
Yep, 6-0, undefeated, and playing at a high level. A lot of good team chemistry. Thank God Tasha came back because she's only played a couple of games this year. Her first game was last Friday because of her injury. So
yeah,
because we wouldn't have won this game without her. So it's
all.
that's what
Z is an animal on the board.
And I do think at some point this year, all 10 of the players that are on the team really will end up heavily contributing to a win somewhere.
Yeah, it could be somebody different every night.
It will be the way that just the varied skills, because there's going to be a game, for example, Stedman hardly played today, where we're just going to need her to stretch the floor because and this might have had to do with their lack of depth too. Mississippi State was playing so much zone that there wasn't a lot of drive and kick that we were doing so we didn't really need Stedman several feet behind the 3-point line. The next game you might need that. So, it wasn't really the game for her to get a lot of minutes, but the next one might be. So I just feel like everyone's going to at some point, and there's going to be,
that's Matt's favorite player.
There's going to be a time. Well, I'm a fan of her defense more than her shooting, to be honest, but there's going to be a time when the other team, in fact, you mentioned Virginia Tech, Melissa, Kyla's got to play a lot in that game because we have bigs and then there's that level of big.
Yeah.
And that's Kyla's ball. She's going to go match that. So we're going to need everyone to step up, and so far they're doing it. So it's been
we have different ways we can play and ways we can beat you, which is so nice. It's the team is so versatile. Which you can't say that about the men's team.
Well, I was about to say, good transition into whatever the hell that was on Tuesday.
Happened. And so for preference, I was at work last night, so I didn't get to watch the game. I chose not to rewatch it because why would I put myself through that? So this will be more Matt and Vish with me throwing in an opinion here and there.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I was there, so it's a completely different perspective. And frankly, when you're there, you see some stuff, but you actually lack context for most of what's happening. So Matt will probably have a better idea of exactly how we folded up and did all that. I will say the one thing I'd been to that well, let's just, I guess we're getting questions about the women. Let's go ahead and answer them.
Do they have to do well in December just because of how the schedule gets in January? Do they have room for error, or can they just handle conference play and lose a non-conference here or there? We need to beat the teams we're supposed to beat.
Well, there's
if we lose to Baylor, Baylor's a really good team. So I don't think that's something that's be that's not a bad loss.
No, we're fine.
But if we were to lose to NJIT, that's a bad loss.
Yeah, as long as we don't drop a bad loss out of conference, we're probably okay now. Because this Mississippi State win's a really big win. It's on the road. It's against a ranked team, a team that's probably going to be in the tournament. So that's a big step. And look, the ACC is so tough. If we can go 500 in there, we'll easily make the tournament. But I think our goal is top 4 and hosting the first 2 rounds, which is on the table.
And honestly, for me, and obviously when we play Baylor, but for me, winning this game on the road like that against a ranked team, I know Mississippi State was down a player or two, but this is a game we easily dropped last year or the year before. I think this team is even better than what they've shown so far. And Coach Myers said it before. They play better later in the year. And some of these games that we've lost previously towards the beginning of the season have cost us seeding in the tournament, and we're not losing these games this year so far anyway. So Vish is like at the beginning, in the first quarter, Vish was like, "No, we're better than this team. We have to win." So
well, you can see that's the stuff you can see in the arena. It's like you could tell like we were a step quicker, a little bit more in flow. They were hitting a bunch of shots at the beginning, and I'm like, but they're not. They're not going to keep making every shot. So
yeah.
So yeah, no, but there is margin for error for sure because the ACC it's almost it's kind of like opposite of the men. The ACC is so tough in women's basketball that you get a lot of mulligans, frankly.
Yeah, sure.
I like Clemson's Clemson's one of the worst, kind of the bottom part of the ACC in women's basketball. They took Mississippi State down to the wire in a neutral site in Houston last weekend. So like the ACC is just top to bottom really tough in women's basketball. So you get like even if you go lose to one of the bad teams, it's not even viewed that poorly. So,
well, for reference, Virginia Tech made the Final Four. We made the Elite Eight. Louisville made the Elite Eight.
Was the Elite Eight Sweet 16? I think it might have been the Sweet 16.
Sure. Anyway, we had 3 teams that went to the Sweet 16 and beyond. So
it's generally recognized as the best conference.
Yeah. So anyway. Kentucky.
Yeah, just like I said, Matt will probably have a better perspective on exactly what fully caused the meltdown. But I will say, I'd been to Rep Arena before, several years ago. I could tell before the game even started that it was going to be another level of intimidation and noise. It was, and I tweeted this out when I say it was like juiced up in there, like they were amped up and ready to go. And last time we played them was in the middle of the Billy Gillespie era, and they were kind of down. And I think the will had been sucked out of them a little bit. It was towards the end of it. And this was like not even recognizable as the same arena. Like right when I sat down, I was like, oh, things are going to happen here. And literally the first basket, because we scored first, Wooga scored. They came down and scored, and I thought the roof was going to come off the place. I'm like, it's 2-2. And I was like, there's no way they're going to keep it this loud for the whole game, and they did.
Yeah.
So it is unlike
Kansas. And
yeah, but I've been to Cameron Indoor. This was way louder, and I think one of the reasons for that is, and actually I've talked about this too with Texas A&M's football team. When you have a bunch of organized cheers and chants, it's not as intimidating. It just isn't, like, because it's kind of something that the opponent can prepare for. And it's almost like part of the show instead of like actually, impacting the game. This was just unadulterated loud. And
didn't your watch give you a warning?
Yeah, that was it told me to roll. It said your heart rate's higher than normal at this time of day. Do you want to try a breathing exercise or something like that? But yeah, so I could tell, like before the game even started, and certainly right after it started, like in the first minute, that this is like a different level of atmosphere, and it's not something you'd experience like in the tournament or anything, because obviously those are neutral sites. Like this was something else, because I was at that Kansas game, Melissa, too, and it was obviously majority Kansas fans, but it's in the United Center. It's a huge arena. You're not going to get that. What happened yesterday? So I kind of knew, but then they hit us in the mouth, and I'm like, we might get run out of the gym. They went on that 18-2 run.
We came back in the first half,
and I was like,
the second half
weathered that, and now we're right in. We're good now. And then it just came apart. But yeah, no, the crowd was definitely a factor. You could see it. We struggled with it. And
Matt, what happened in the second half?
The second half, I think there was some of the guys weren't engaged into the game. For whatever reason. I think there was various reasons. The crowds won. I think they did a really good job on Nigel. Reed Shepherd is an absolute dog. He put the clamps on Nigel, frankly. He did not look comfortable on the court offensively at all. We were not engaged defensively at all. There was a ton of miscommunications on switches, a lot of shooters left open. That's what really sparked that run in the second half. Reed Shepherd hit like 2 or 3 threes. Trey Mitchell hit a 3. We had a few turnovers too, I think.
Unforced
I think
turnovers from what I could see. It was like just
yeah,
loose with the ball. It wasn't really that they were
very
forcing them.
very loose with the ball. And I think the other thing too, defensively, like you can say what you want about us defensively, we give up easy baskets. That's going to happen. But the one thing about our defense is, on ball screens, we hedge ball screens really hard, right? To try to force turnovers and whatnot to get guys uncomfortable. We did not do that tonight. To be honest, I think, or yeah, sorry, yesterday. Didn't I say, or did I say last night or tonight?
You said
Sorry.
tonight.
Okay.
You're
Anyways,
good.
I'm jumbled. I thought that Matthew Cleveland had the worst game he's ever had in his short Miami tenure in terms of defense. He was out of position multiple times.
Well, I mean,
gave
so
up.
the thing we got to remember with him is obviously like we blew that game to Florida State last year and he hit the buzzer beater. He has never played in games with stakes.
Oh, absolutely.
This is all
But-
new for him, and I think he's gonna have to grow into it. We kind of
Mhm.
because most of our team has played in the Final Four, and then he has
Yeah.
not played.
And I
in
think it was a good
training.
experience for him. But
Yeah.
I mean, even on ball too, he got abused inside.
Yeah.
Tiro took him to the basket like 3 or 4 times in the first half, and then I think Justin Edwards took him off the dribble as well. But I mean, just offensively, we're very timid at different points. Norchad was the only one that was really aggressive, besides Wooga in the first half as well. But I mean, Norchad only played 19 minutes. He didn't even play half the game.
Yeah,
And fouled out.
his foul
And foul-
his
yeah,
foul
he fouled
trouble
out.
thing is going to be a massive issue this year if
Well,
we can't get Nwoko and Casey to
and they were both.
Well, okay, and this is what AJ Casey was terrible. He played an awful game. He was not ready for that game at all.
Which is
I think it was a lot of a mental.
We
He-
felt he had made strides, and
Yeah, but offensively, he has shown this at times, and I think I've referenced it a couple times. He like is so soft with his putbacks or when he attacks. He needs to be a little bit more physical and initiate contact. He got blocked like 2 or 3 times.
Nwoko kept
and
missing dunks.
Well, he dropped the ball 3 times. Like Keyshawn
just-
gave
it
him
was-
a perfect lob, and he dropped it. Couldn't even. It was perfectly placed. Couldn't catch it. Couldn't get the dunk. Yeah, I wanted to reference what Parrish said too. The 26 assists to 8. You saw the ball movement. They were really patient, really good with moving the ball. We lost a turnover battle 15-8. Like Vish said, there's a lot of careless turnovers. Gave them a lot of fast break opportunities when both.
Well,
teams
that's
were
when
playing
it
small
that's
ball.
when it that's when it imploded.
Spiraled,
At the end
yes.
of the second half.
Yeah.
When you're getting shots up.
That's when they got a bunch of open threes. And it just kind of spiraled like that, with
It was
the
everything.
mix of-
That one time they missed, like, this was still when it was, I think, still single digits, or might have just gotten to double digits, where they missed the second free throw, got the rebound, kicked down, hit a 3.
Yeah.
Because like we didn't rebound a missed free throw. Like it just everything went wrong in the second half. But it actually started though at the end of the first half. Because we had the lead with like 2 or 3 minutes left in the first half, I think by multiple possessions, and that run started there. And like we said, we tried to buy. Norwich had 2 fouls. We tried to buy the rest of the half and kind of lost the game there.
Yeah.
And then he's got to be smarter with his fouls. I know the second one, he got the ball. If you're
the
carrying a
second
foul,
one, he totally got the ball.
yes, but you cannot wind up and slap like that when you already have a foul. Like, don't do stupid stuff like that. Like, that's just, I get it was definitely all ball, but you're asking to get that call. Like, don't reach in. It wasn't even like a block. I get it if he's trying to protect the rim. Why are you reaching in, dude? Just don't reach in right now. You already have a foul. And even his first foul, he got away with an offensive foul. They called it defensive instead. He immediately takes
because
the
they
ball
let
back.
They let the Trey Mitchell one go, and then
Right.
But
as Jackson was talking about, he got away with an offensive foul. They didn't call it. We immediately get the ball back to him. The crowd is like all over the refs. He goes and makes like another push up. Of course they're gonna call it. Like, there's no, like, come on, man, use this thing. Like, what are you doing? Do not force your way into the paint right now. They're gonna call a foul, and it's just like he's got to be smarter. Look, he's playing center, which means you're around the basket, which means you're susceptible to fouls. And the way we scramble defensively means he's constantly in motion, which again makes you more susceptible to fouls. He's going to get in foul trouble, but you can't have the stupid fouls. Like, he can't be making fouls offensively.
I know it was a bad loss, but was there any players that stood out to you guys? Were like, okay, well,
Wuga,
like anyone off the bench?
No.
Well, yeah.
Keyshawn a little bit, but Keyshawn's actually. Okay,
I didn't get to watch the game, so it's like a legit question.
I was going to say two people. I was going to say Keyshawn and Chris Watson, yeah. And I'm not saying it as like, oh my God, but in a game where, a lot of your guys got into foul trouble, and then, I mean, there was garbage time at the end of the game too, so some of the minutes were contributed to that.
Right.
I thought Keyshawn had a pretty good game. You saw the playmaking ability. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't think that there's any moment that's too big for him as a freshman, because he did not give a sorry, I'm going to say it. He did not give a shit.
You said it in the chat. I'm gonna jack
this up. He hit that three in the corner. I think he had a drive too, but I mean, you see the playmaking ability. You can see how he helps us on the defensive glass as well, because I think he's kind of like rebounds and a few tips.
He's kind of like our Lamaya Hilton on the women's team. Because I was saying,
she's a much,
because she's got no fear and she's defensive too, like plays good defense, but like she's not afraid either. So
but she's kind of similar game. Well, but I think the difference is, and I also mentioned this in the chat, I think in that game we needed someone that doesn't give a shit, because everyone else was tightening up, and him coming in there and being like, I don't give a shit, did settle the team down a little bit. I actually got back into the game with him in there, but the man takes some of the dumbest shots, and I know that's part of him not giving a shit, but
and part of being a freshman and being a freshman.
I mean, I don't need him, like the corner three out of a rotation, great. Pulling up from where it says UK on the court and airballing a 3-pointer for, like, I mean, multiple times. I mean, I think at some point it's like there's going to be a give and take.
He thinks he's Nigel Pack.
Well, no, he was. We
didn't see Nigel Pack do that today.
Yeah,
or last night. Sorry, I keep saying today. Damn,
he was playing his game. No, which was fine, but I actually thought, even though the numbers don't jump out, Watson really, his defense was there. He was consistent. He didn't force anything. He stayed with the play. He made some shots. I was really impressed with him, and I actually think we haven't mentioned Bensley yet. Bensley picking up those 2 quick fouls. Yeah, actually probably helped us in the first half, because we played bigger lineups, and we all knew coming into the year, Nigel and Bensley's backcourt is very small, and
I've said that a million times.
Yes.
Well, the other thing that we all
talked about that, and so by him getting into foul trouble and going to the bench, we had to bring in Keyshawn. We brought in Watson. We brought in bigger guards. We were actually better able to guard them. Starting the second half, when he ran the starters back out there, they kind of overwhelmed our backcourt. And
that's the other thing too, right? If Bensley isn't producing offense, right? Which, I mean, he had like 4 points maybe? Or what did he have?
Even have that?
I don't know. Nigel had like 2. Bad. I mean, you're playing 2 guys that are 6 feet, 6'1". That's a huge disadvantage on the defensive side. I know Bensley's a great defender,
but he also didn't play a lot because he got those 2 early fouls, and then we pulled the starters pretty quickly in the second half. I'm pulling the box up now, but
he played 21 minutes.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like you said, he played 21 minutes. Norchak played 19. We don't have the depth for that.
Yeah,
but I thought we got good minutes out of Watson, out of George, and they were actually more effective than Bensley, which did actually help in the first half, because they're bigger too. They can defend better. They can bother the 3-point shooting. Kentucky started the game 2 of 10 from 3, and then I think they missed 1 3 the rest of the game and kind of buried us.
It's easy to make them when it's a warm-up jumper and no one's
guarding. Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think the smaller backcourt got exposed a bit there, and that is our starting backcourt. Like, it's not like we really.
Yeah. Oh my God, there was one possession. I just remembered this. AJ Casey was guarding the ball up top. And I don't know what he was thinking, but he literally left the ball like to switch on to someone else, and Kentucky player just drove in and just dunked it. I was like, what? It's like this is the perfect representation of this game. What is going
Yeah,
on?
no, it was, and we did the the cardinal sin of the offense affected our defense. We frankly we stopped playing defense, just to be blunt, like in the second half, and they killed us for it. But
yeah, I get what Jackson's saying, that they didn't let him breathe, but at some point, like, you have to create for yourself and get open yourself if they're overplaying you.
exactly, I get it. Like, they're overplaying him, but he's got to be able to drive and score, and that was the parts of his game that
which he has shown at times this year.
I think we played poorly. Frankly, if we're gonna, I would start Watson. I would not start Keyshawn. I think if we're gonna make a change, I would start Watson. Keyshawn is too out of control. He is, like, you can't have him start the game off by jacking everything up. Like, you can't. It was frankly what we needed yesterday, because everyone else was puckered up tight, and he comes in and just doesn't give a crap. He's got his fro going, everything was rolling for him. But I don't want him starting games like that. I don't want him starting games like that.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's exactly kind of what you want from your bench guy coming in and just trying to make an impact immediately. Starter needs to be more controlled. But I don't think we're going to see a lineup change. I think it's one of those days where
I think Chris could play more minutes, though, for sure.
It depends, right? So we talked about Nigel struggling and Bensley struggling. I'm curious if down the road, I don't want to see a lineup change for the starters in terms of minute distribution. If they're struggling, is there a quicker hook there to get one of them off the court? Probably Bensley. The other thing that happened, and this is where Keyshawn also paid off, was we tried to give Nigel a rest at the end of the half, and Keyshawn had to run point for a while there, because Bensley got 2 fouls very quickly in the first half and kind of went to the bench as well. We just, everyone's always so hyper focused on Norchad's fouls. Bensley also got into foul trouble, and it impacted the game. And then the second half, when he came, frankly, he didn't look up to speed with the rest of the game. He looked a step slow. He kept turning it over. It was rough for him. But I would just chalk all of this up to it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to do any kind of panic or overreaction or start shuffling people.
Yeah, it sucks, right? Like, you want to show out, be competitive, win the freaking game, but I mean, this was our 6th game, right?
This was
6th game of the season.
6th game, yes.
I mean, we lost to Maryland last year by 18, a team that didn't even make the tournament. The same team you see right now isn't going to be the same team you see in March, right?
Yeah.
At
But you know what bothered me the most? There's two things that bothered me the most. And I didn't watch the game, but I saw some highlights. We all obviously were talking about it. Everyone, as soon as we do bad and we lose a game, is like, oh, it's because we don't have a true center. And it's just like, we literally made the Final Four last year without a true center. Like, I get we're short, but that honestly wasn't our main problem last night. Height, it was, we couldn't make shots and we couldn't play defense as a whole. The second thing that bothered me is all the fans telling Matt Cleveland to go back to FSU. I was like, this guy has played so well through the season up until this game. And then one guy was like, oh, I was like, what are you talking about? He's had a great season up until now. And then he's like, oh, well, I haven't really watched any of the games. And I was like, then shut up. It's like, you're going to make a judgment off of one game. He's like, yeah, I haven't watched any of the games yet. I'm still mad that he put the U upside down last year. I was like, well, then you need to go back and watch the other games and apologize. Like,
yeah, he's probably a football fan that never even watched.
Yeah. What is it that Vish said? That's the problem. Like, our team got good, so all the football fans are migrating and they don't know shit.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. So I would say it's a vocal minority in that group. That are like that, but look, the football team is what it is and what it has been, and so when you see the success across the way, we do have people that don't really follow the basketball team that show up now with title expectations, which we have as well, right? I mean, we expect this team to compete with anyone, and they didn't do that on Tuesday, so I get that a little bit, But we do have this all of a sudden, Johnny come lately showed up and being like, oh, they suck, they this, they that, and like, you haven't. I mean, there is an element of you haven't been through it with us, so shut the fuck up. Seriously.
Clip it.
I was like, you weren't sitting in general admission with 5 people in the stands in the early 2010s and the late 2000s, early 2010s. Like, yeah, we had that great run in 2012, 2013.
You weren't there watching Keith Stone with us, okay?
I went to school during the Frank Haith era. Vish was there during Perry Clark. Like,
I can one up anything you got.
Don't jump on the bandwagon because we made the Final Four last year and think you can like put an opinion out there like you've followed this team for 20 years. Like,
so I'll add one to your thing.
I censored myself because we're live right now, but I dropped some F-bombs for sure when all of this was going down on Twitter last night.
Right, and I mean, it comes with the territory. When you're one of the best teams in the country, you get on national TV. Everyone in the country was watching that game, not just our fans, not just Kentucky fans. And you do that, you're going to get the negative comments. I mean, look, I'll be honest, and I've said this on the football show as well. I have a problem with the negativity of our fans in general and how quickly they turn on the kids. These are college students, and we saw it with
they're 18 to 22-year-olds.
We saw it with our quarterback this year, where it went well beyond the you're not playing well into just vitriolic hate, which I don't even understand. And so, when that migrates over to the basketball team, which has been undoubtedly ridiculously unexpectedly successful, it's hard to stomach, because at least I get it, and Melissa and I have talked about this. When it's the quarterback of the football team, it's the quarterback of the football team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're sitting here yelling at some dude who just came over from France 2 months ago. It's just like, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, it's not only that, but like, I'm not going to speak for both of you. And I was actually talking to an FSU fan about this on Twitter last night.
Well, that's your first one.
Even he was like, yo, it's one game. Like, don't worry about it. You guys will be good, whatever. Like, he's a normal dude. We chit chat, whatever. And I was just like, I was like, everyone's passionate about sports. Some people maybe take it a little more personally than they should, like myself. But when it comes to Canes basketball, every loss we have ruins my night. Like, I was so distracted at work last night that like the doctor I was working with went to go see a patient without me, because I was just like, I'm really pissed off right now. Like, it's just, so when people start tearing apart a team they haven't watched play in however long, and they're just getting onto it now, and they start insulting the players that they've only known for 3 seconds, it pisses me off so bad. Like, I haven't met any of these players, but I'm like, this is like family to me. Don't insult my family.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
You're right there, Vish?
You okay there, Vish?
I've literally slept like 4 hours the last 3 days, so no, I'm not, but I'll power through it. Well, no, I did have people in the, in my mentions saying things like, I rearranged my schedule to watch this game. Meanwhile, I'm like, well, congratulations. I mean,
asked you to.
Well, I mean, what does that even mean? I'm sitting there in Kentucky freezing my ass off.
And then got an hour and a half of sleep and drove to an airport an hour.
Totally
away
worth it.
And...
Totally worth it. We got that dove.
Yeah. I tweeted earlier today. I was like, I really need the women's team to win tonight.
I will say, in a way, it's good that this team has these expectations. They only have to deal with the scrutiny because, it's going to harden them for what they're going to need to do down the road and through March. As Bill said, that this one game isn't that important in the grand scheme of things. Just got to, stick with it, get better. It's a long season, but
Parish just put up our next opponents.
Yeah, I will say. Go ahead.
Undefeated. I was gonna say undefeated.
I was gonna say this game on Saturday is more important than the Kentucky one.
The one against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's a conference game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Colorado game is the most important one. Notre Dame is kind of bad.
They suck, but if you don't want this to go sideways,
yeah, you got to win,
and you should win it easily.
Yeah,
but it's a conference game. Like, this is that's a big one. Obviously, Colorado's the toughest game out of that stretch.
And Bill
100%.
Makes a good point. It's early in the season. It's not like football where one loss like completely screws you over. It's not a bad. I mean, it's a bad loss in that we got blown out, but it's a loss to a really good team.
Well, yeah, and Kentucky's really freaking good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Can't
isn't
drop
the same
two in a row.
Kentucky
I agree,
team from the past
Parrish.
like 2-3 years or whatever.
Yeah, no, they're very good. So the women won.
The women won. Yes.
I needed that. I really needed that. I'm going into a long work weekend. I needed
Well,
a
I mean,
win.
Melissa, you just talked about, how, rationally or irrationally we personalize a lot of this.
Mhm.
I will say, I don't know how I would have handled sitting right next to the bench if we caught an L on this. Because you're seeing the players that are like you're hearing I heard everything. Like in the timeouts, I could hear what the coach was drawing up. Like
I'm so jealous.
But like I could see like you really get their personalities and stuff. And I was like, I cannot have these
Mm.
ladies lose this game. Like I cannot have them walk off the score right now at the loss. I needed that. Obviously they won, but yeah, no, it would have been not really impacting that negatively their season, but it would have just been personally rough there if they didn't pull that out, but they did. So yep, that is.
Vish. No, okay, Vish.
What, are you serious?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Oh my God. Hell no.
Oh my God, Melissa.
Anyway, so I will say, I do wonder what Coach L's going to do in terms of, like you said, Matt. I don't think it's going to be a rotate, like a starting lineup shift, but it might be a minutes played shift because we had basically rode the starters, even in blowouts. So it is a, we got quality minutes. I have some guys off the bench, and by the way, the bigs are a mess.
Mm-hmm. Also, so, Jackson says you got to have every conference game you can get. I would like to go undefeated at home. FSU blew that for us last season.
Yes.
So
that was the only home game I went to last year.
It's your fault. So also I would like to mention Vish is 3-0 at women's games this year.
I mean, I have a pretty good record at women's games in general, so
I'm 1-0.
I mean, I rode the train. If we want to make it really personal, we were doing fine until you two showed up at the Final Four. I rode it all the way through Albany and Kansas City, and then we all congregate in Houston, and it all came apart. So, if anything, who are we blaming here?
Matt, he's trying to blame us.
when I became a Canes basketball fan, that's when we started taking off. So, I would just like to put that out there.
I mean, we were good when I
stopped getting season tickets and we took off, so maybe it was my fault.
I mean, we were good for 1 year when I was in college. I was going to point this out earlier. Melissa, you think Frank Cather was bad? So back in the day when we were in the Big East, one team wouldn't make the Big East tournament. My senior year didn't make the Big East tournament.
Oh, because it was an odd number of teams,
yeah,
right?
they would. One team wouldn't make it, and that was Perry Clark's last year.
Oh man,
what's Vish's records at men's game? He went to every tournament.
It's probably pretty good because I ran up a 4-game win streak last year.
But you went to the FSU game and you went to the Final Four.
Yeah, so 4-2 last year. Were those the only games I went to last year? Yeah.
4-2.
I did go to the game in Chicago against Kansas. That's 4-3. Kentucky, 4-4.
4-4.
I haven't been to another men's game this year, I guess. Yeah, I've been to a bunch of the women's ones
in the last 2 years.
when I was down there.
Yeah.
4-4. I'm sure I'm missing them because I randomly go to games and I forget I went. Like I forgot
about 500.
I forgot I went to that Kansas game and then like when Melissa and I got to know each other, I was like, yeah, that Albany game was the first one I went to. I was like, wait a second, I was at the Elite Eight last year. Never mind.
Yeah, when we made the Final Four last year, there was no way I could miss that because you never know when it's, and I know we lost, but you never know when it's going to happen again. And it was so cool to see the U on the Final Four, the marquee, and seeing all the Miami fans and seeing how the students showed up. Like our student section was more packed than the UConn student section at the Final Four last year. So I liked it. what adjustments would you like to see short and long term for both teams? So for the women, I think making free throws. Also, I think
Work on
our
the
offense.
turnovers.
I think with turnovers. Yeah, I also think we've already made an adjustment because our offense against the zone was a lot better than it was on Sunday. But I mean, the main thing that stands out there is the free throws. Like you have to get better at that. I mean, as far as the men,
We need a backup.
know.
We need either. Look, what we saw from Nwoko and KC was unacceptable yesterday. Even if Norchad's not in foul trouble, you still got to get some. He's not going to play 40 minutes.
No,
those two guys could not stay on the court. I mean, they had to. They were that bad. Like Matt said, they couldn't do simple things like catch the ball, make dunks and layups. You know, KC was technically getting blocked, but blocking his own shot by how he was going up. You can't have that because, you know, we did actually play a reasonable first half. You know, obviously the second half got away from us, and we should have been up pretty comfortably, except we missed 3 or 4 dunks. We missed a bunch of Wooga for whatever reason, missed a bunch of free throws. It was just like we left a bunch of stuff there that you don't remember now because, you know, the second half it imploded.
Parrish, what's a cop out? What the free throw things for the women? I mean, that's an obvious. I mean, how who wouldn't say that? Out of what you've watched tonight and over the last few games for the women, the main thing they need to work on is free throws. Like to not say that would be blasphemous.
Yeah, and it's been a problem. So
yeah.
So it's not just tonight. And look, I know they practice them, so you know the hope is that they get better. But that is kind of the thing that it almost cost them the game tonight, and it will for sure if they don't get better at it. The other thing I would say is still too many turnovers. You know, protect the ball. A lot of sloppy turnovers, like where it's just like, what are you doing?
A lot of turnovers with us trying to pass the ball into the post. We've had a few of those every game. I get us wanting to get the ball in there because we've got some great bigs, but like we're forcing it into the post, and when they're getting overplayed like that, you can't try to bounce past the ball.
You have to have the right angle too, right? That's what I noticed a few of those.
Yeah. I mean, I like that we're trying to get it down low, but it was just really bad passes.
Yeah, you have
terrible
to,
angles.
Like Matt says, and you also have to set the pass up. Sometimes you got to rotate the ball to get the angle, and just you know, trying to do unless we have like Chris Paul running point, you know, doing a post entry pass without a bounce pass from the top of the key in the middle of a zone.
Hey, well, maybe
it's just not going to be.
Maybe Leah can be our Chris Paul next year. She did say that when she was.
We have multiple Leahs though. So
also, I will say that Jaleel Bethea was watching the Kentucky game last night. I saw it on his Instagram stories.
Well, poor guy.
Man.
Probably wish he could be out there.
But yeah, no, I think the biggest thing for the men is look, if Norchad gets into foul trouble in a big spot in March, we're in trouble. I think we know that.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned with even if he's
that was the problem last year too.
Right, and he played through it in that Texas game. We got lucky on a couple of like 50-50s that they could have fouled him out and didn't. But I'm more concerned that like, I mean, I'll flatly say it. If Anthony Walker was on this team, I would have rather had him in there than those two guys last night.
Yeah.
And that's
defensively,
just overall, like
know everything.
I mean, yeah, he would have bricked a 3, but no, but I mean that's how bad, and they haven't been that bad this year. So you know, hopefully, like they learn from this experience, but that has to get better because we have so many options. We've talked about this, right? That you know, even like because Cleveland can obviously play the 3 as well. We have so many options in the wing and at guard. We're essentially starting 2-point guards. You know, we have all of those options to mix and match. We don't with Norchad. Like it's him, and then one of these two guys has got to be functional on a nightly basis.
I mean, we talked about it in the offseason about bridging that gap of the drop-off between Norchad and who's coming off the bench, and we haven't done that yet. Nwoko's a true freshman, and Casey's still figuring it out.
You're on
He's just
mute,
muted himself.
Vish.
One of those days. or weeks or God, what day is this? Wednesday. It's all been a blur. But what? There's going to be that drop off, but they can't be like completely unplayable, and they were in that game. We were essentially playing.
Yeah.
one
Well,
less
and
player on the
it's
court.
frustrating too because we saw stuff from flashes from both of them, mainly from AJ Casey, right?
Mhm.
And then
Especially
it wasn't
defensively,
there.
but
Yeah,
today it was like, or why do I keep saying today?
Yesterday.
Last night.
because I haven't slept, so you're
know.
in sympathy.
It's still yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vish is
but
still
there's
on
a lot
Tuesday.
of it's a lot of like what I referenced earlier, miscommunication. I saw Wooga yelling at AJ Casey at one point in the game because he missed a rotation. It's frustrating to see. I mean, hopefully it improves, but yeah,
Yeah,
Hopefully this is like
Colorado.
the
the
Maryland
drop
game
off
from
is
last
still
year.
real.
I mean, look, we should beat Notre Dame at home, but nothing's given. It is a conference game, but Colorado's a good test.
Yeah,
So hopefully we'll play better in that game.
I think Vish needs to get out of here and get some sleep.
he needs food. He hasn't eaten yet.
I haven't eaten. It's only 9
Oh.
o'clock here.
Bill says Casey
Or
is not the
10 o'clock.
answer.
It's about to be 10.
He's
o'clock.
gonna have to be him or Nwoko.
I don't think
Yeah.
either of them are the answer right now. The question, Parrish asked a really good question, like what do we need, short and long term? I think that's by February, one of those guys needed to establish themselves of I can get you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And right now they can't. Because look, if Norchak gets into foul trouble, there's not really an answer for that. There wasn't one last year. But we can't even put these guys on the court if they're going to play as they did in that game. So that's kind of your long
we're not gonna play a team the caliber of Kentucky for a little bit, so hopefully that gives them some time.
Yeah, but we're not going to know until because like Matt said, they've shown flashes against poorer competition. So it's not like
We'll see. Well, what's our next big test? When do we play Duke?
Well, Colorado is the next.
I think Colorado is probably
Oh yeah.
And then I know we play Clemson is like one of the.
I think right before New Year. I think.
Yeah, that's going to be a solid test as well.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities to challenge themselves.
Yeah.
Jackson thinks it's going to be Nwoko.
We should have checked in to see how the ACC is doing in the ACC-SEC challenge.
Well, I know in the women's, there's one in the win column for sure, at least. So.
Yeah.
Well, we played the hardest team in the SEC though, so.
What for the
like,
men?
The men.
No, I mean it was we're the champs. We should, and we shouldn't have.
Who's playing LSU? And for the
What?
women,
I don't know.
I'm looking at the men's right now. UNC won. Virginia beat Texas A&M.
Didn't FAU beat Texas A&M too? I feel like over the weekend.
Think so.
Yeah,
they did.
Oh, Louisville's playing up the road here in Mississippi right now and winning. Notre Dame beat Tennessee. Women. Notre Dame beat Tennessee. NC State beat Vanderbilt. We beat Mississippi State. Georgia Tech lost to Florida, so they won one of them. Unsurprisingly, the women's is not really competitive because
Wake Forest beat Florida for men's.
I mean, Florida's terrible.
Yeah, but they massacred FSU the other week.
That doesn't count in the ledger for the challenge. Although is FSU even in it? They're the team that's out, right? Because they finished last year. Pretty sure they're not in it.
Well, this isn't the Big Ten ACC challenge anymore. Do we have the same amount of teams as the SEC?
No, because we have an odd number because of Notre Dame.
Yeah, Louisville.
Oh, Louisville. Wait, Louisville.
Bellarmine.
That's
tonight.
right. Louisville is worse.
They almost lost. They were down at halftime.
Man.
Oh gosh.
Played the wrong team from Kentucky, I guess.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I will say, obviously, like I traveled about these games, and today's game colors that a little bit because we got a win out of it, but definitely worth worth doing these types of things if you can, just to experience it. Especially the women don't get a lot of support. There were a couple of people that tweeted me from the game that weren't sitting like with the players' families like I were. So there were a few people out there, but I mean, this is really, really middle of nowhere. Like, I can't stress that enough. So it's not like anyone would really necessarily be living in the area, but definitely. And you know, Melissa and I were talking about this at the game on Sunday. For $5, the experience you get at a Canes women's basketball game is like unbelievable.
So the way it is at women's games is one side of the thing is for the season ticket holders and the other side is for general admission. Me and Vish were sitting like right at half court, like halfway up. Like we had great seats.
$5, except we went as press, but they're $5
we
tickets.
Went as media. Yeah, I have my first media credential hanging here. I felt very, very special. I was like, oh, got to go through a separate entrance. I was like, cool.
But yeah, no, but so like if you're in Miami and, you know, especially if you have kids, you want to take the kids to the game, it's like much more of a chill atmosphere too. I would highly recommend doing that. $5, you can't beat it.
I'm going to get Matt to a women's game. Not that he's going to be in Florida anytime soon. But...
He's refusing to go to Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm not. I told you, even if the men were there, even if I don't even know. Tell me whatever. I'm not going to Cleveland.
Well, we'll see next year when the teams have to go out to California to play. Maybe that's the move. I'm sure you'll make the trip.
Well, no, he's gonna come in the off season because we're gonna do our game of Porsche.
No, I'm not talking about but I'm talking about to watch the teams play. They will soon be traveling out west to play Cal and Stanford. So
Parrish wants quick thoughts on both coaches so far.
I mean. I
can't
about
Coach Meyer a lot.
I mean, I can't be. I'm not gonna comment there because I can't be neutral, and it's not useful.
I love both of them. I don't know. I mean,
I'm friends with Coach Meyer. I'm not gonna say.
Well, I mean, I will talk her up till.
No, I mean I can, right? But I think he's looking for. No, I think he's looking for an honest assessment. I am not really.
I'll give my honest assessment. What she's done with this program the last few years is absolutely insane. She took a team to the Elite Eight last year that nobody had getting that far. Lost a bunch of players, retooled from the transfer portal, and is probably the best team we've had ever, in my opinion. Starting this season. What she's done for the women's basketball program is insane, and I hope I know. When Coach L retires one day, they should name the court after him. But when Coach Meyer retires too, something needs to be named after her. These two are the best things that have ever happened.
Named after both of them. I don't know why you have to pick one.
Larinaga - Meyer court or ladies first.
Well,
Meyer,
she's
they each get a half court.
Well, she is the all-time winningest coach in school history, including the men.
Yeah.
And I think he was talking more about this season, which is why look, the women are undefeated. You can't ask for anything else. Just won a road game here, but we'll see. The men is obviously a little bit more mixed after what happened. On yesterday, but I will say, we've leaned into the small ball, and I don't necessarily think yesterday was a small ball problem. So
I don't think so either. It's big. I'm like, that wasn't the issue.
It was more just like kind of a system-wide failure. So unfortunately, to assess Coach out this point, on this season we're talking about, we're gonna know a lot more in the next week and a half than we do right now, because everyone gets punched in the mouth once at least. How do we respond? We do not have a deep team. So, he's got limited tools to work with, and let's see. We have the best, I would say, high-end talent in the country in terms of experience and just raw skill on the top line. There's very little underneath it, and so that's his challenge this year. And
and as far as the women's concerned,
I will say, Parrish, I did not expect. If you had told me that the men's team was going to crumble like that, I would not have believed it. Not a team with this many juniors and seniors that have been to the Final Four and have played in high leverage situations. And frankly, like we talked about, the player that was least phased by it was Keyshawn, which is just
my boy.
I mean, so
Keyshawn fan club.
But we'll see. We'll see how he kind of responds to that and how Coach O. I do think we'll see some tweaks in terms of minute distribution. Because I don't see how you don't get.
Parrish got to get the football mention in there real quick.
I mean, someone else mentioned this on the show earlier.
I know that happened like 10 minutes before the game started, so like it's fresh. So shout out to everybody in the chat tonight. Bill, Jackson, Parrish.
Shout out to Jay Billis talking about Norchad O'Meara being 6'5".
I mean, he got officially measured, so everyone knows.
I know. It's just funny hearing it.
Shout out to the fans that were saying airball after a half court heave.
Oh
That's
my God.
really
That's
petty and childish. But
no, it's just
but
stupid.
like whatever. Me and Matt pretty much said it at the same time. I'm like, have they really done this twice now?
Yeah.
So dumb. But whatever. Anything to add before we cue the outro?
No, just continue to support this team even when they're not playing Kentucky.
Both.
I think
Both
Vish is
teams.
about to pass out from hunger.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm
Sleep
fine.
deprivation.
I'm losing my voice, is what you could tell me.
Yeah,
Like,
I hear your cough. I hope you're not getting sick, Fish. You gotta get
I'm
healthy
not.
for next week.
I'm not sick. I have not slept.
Go get some Chipotle.
Go get something to eat and get some rest. Safe travels back to DC.
I mean, I'm
Vish.
gonna get some rest tonight, so I'll be good to go tomorrow. 'Cause
Yeah.
my flight's not
Safe
till
travels back to DC. The next buckets. There's a men's game Saturday.
Saturday we're hosting Notre Dame, so head out to.
What time is it on
Are we doing
Saturday?
a post game?
Noon. It's on at noon, real people time.
Do we want to do a post game later that night? Shut up, Bill.
I mean, I certainly can. So
there may be a post game Saturday after Notre Dame when Vish is able to think properly and not be so tired.
Yeah, and I'm also getting a phone call I need to take, so that's probably my cue to exit here.
All right.
Okay. Cue the Sox outro. Don't cry.
We getting buckets.
Keep it chill.
Yeah, baby.
Wear good socks.
Buckets.